Hey friends, it's Tracy. Welcome to today's video. I am sharing more Easter and spring DIYs and very popular items here on my channel. That is painting. I love my whimsical country crafts and I'm so happy that you do too. Let's go ahead and get into today's video. I'm starting with a 15-inch wood round from burrowwood.com. The high chip decor is from Hobby Lobby, and the paint color I'm using is Plaster Waverly chalk paint that I get from Walmart. So I gave it a couple of coats of that, as well as this high. Now, of course, they put that pesty sticker right there, right in the front, because this is chip decor, and it kind of pulled off the front. So it's like, why did you put it on the front? Anyway, I just dealt with that. Okay, so I'm going to do my faux plaid pattern, and how I do it, my method is I'm using my fan brush, and I use about half of the bristles, just dipping it in paint. Now this pink color is Lisa Pink by Ceram Coat, and so I just go down vertically and then I go back and go horizontal, and it was a little bit too bright, so I took one of these brushes from the Dollar Tree and just kind of did like a dry brushing technique just to kind of soften that pink up a bit, and you know that I like that much better. Okay, so then I hand drew this bunny pattern out, and I'll be honest with you, when I finished doing this, I'm like, that kind of looks like a pig with long ears. Yes, I know everybody sees it, but I just had to go with it. I put too much time and effort into this painting, so I kind of see why now they have, you know, when people paint bunnies or that kind of thing, they put a bend in the ear. Anyway, but this was my first one that I did. And so the next time I do it, I will put a bend in the ear so that it looks a little bit more like a bunny versus a pig with long ears. Okay, so then I'm taking some of that plaster chalk paint and just filling it in. And I think I had to give this 2 coats or maybe 3. And, you know, I know that I could have traced this out and then did the background, but in the way my brain works, that wouldn't work. So I just had to paint over it. Okay, so then now I'm taking a flat tip paintbrush and just going around and giving it a border. And this blue color is Bahama Blue. That is a Deco Art Americana color. And so I just love it for this little whimsical bunny door hanger. Okay, so then once all of that is dry, for some shading, I am using Dolphin Gray and just using a smaller flat paintbrush and dipping half of my brush in paint, the other half in clean water. And then I'm just going around that faux plaid pattern. I'm going to go around the bunny and everything else because I want to give it a softness. For the inner part of the bunny's ear, I'm just going in with fuchsia color of pink and that one of those brushes from the Dollar Tree. I like it. I like these little brushes. This is the first time that I've been using these in this project, so I'll be using them in more projects because I like the wispiness of it. And so I give it several coats until I got the coverage that I wanted. I totally forgot to make my cheeks that I like to do before I start putting on my nose. So I had to improvise and go in and put that in after I had painted the nose. And so of course it was a little dark, so I just took my finger and some plaster chalk paint and I just kind of softened that up a little bit more. And so then I made some wispiness or just kind of like the plaid whimsical, you know, cheeks that I like. I just make just kind of a little stripes and then horizontal, and then I do vertical as well. And so then to add a little bit more whimsy, I'm just taking the end of a small paintbrush and dipping it in that fuchsia paint and just going in between the stripes to give it a dot, you know, just to give it a pop of color. I also added a plaid pattern to the inner part of the ears just with a small flat tip paintbrush and my detailing brush. I go back later and add a few more stripes. Now, a detailing brush, if that is not something that you can find, this is an old brush that I've had for many years. A lot of the bristles have fallen out. The handle is broken and I love it so much. It's like one of my favorite brushes that I have. So if you can't find one, just find a thin liner brush, take out some of the bristles, pull them out or cut them out, and then you'll have, you just want a few bristles on a detailing brush. All right, so then now what I'm doing is going to make the eyes, and I like the more almond shape whimsical eyes. There are a lot of painters that do eyes differently. You can use the end of a paintbrush. You can use, different styles of, just researching, Googling how to do eyes, and I just like the more almond shaped eyes. I draw them out with my friction pen, then I go back in and fill them in with black paint. I use my little detailing brush to add some eyelashes. All my whimsical characters have eyelashes, and all the cute little whimsical touches. I will leave a video here if you haven't seen it. I have put a collection video together of all of my whimsical characters. All right, so then I go back in and add some lines in between on that Bahama blue, and that darker turquoise is called Desert Turquoise, and that's Deco Art Americana brand as well. All right, so then I'm just taking a flat paintbrush and going in and making the eyes and making some whimsical touches, shading and doodling, just putting the white in the eyes. Depending on how you put the white in the eyes will depend on how your little character is looking. And so, as I say, guys, the beauty is in the details. All right, so then I go back and add some whimsical touches of just with my faux plat pattern. So I'm using the ultrafine Sharpie marker and going around and adding that for my bunny. And so to actually outline the actual bunny, I use my fine Sharpie marker. It was a little bit thicker. I wanted that. And so, as I say, I just love my doodles and my black Sharpie marker. And I'm so glad that you are here, guys. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, my name is Tracy, and I do love to share crafty ideas with a bit of rustic country charm. I have tons of videos on my channel. I would love it if you would check out my library, my playlist, and maybe consider subscribing if you are not already a subscriber. For the chip decor, which is the word hi, I had given it a coat of the plaster color chalk paint. Then I went back and gave it 2 coats of the desert turquoise color of paint. That's a Deco Art color. And then I'm using my flat paint brush just to give it some shading. Then I'll use my little detailing brush to give it some highlights. I just really feel that this makes my projects pop, and I am so grateful that the Lord has sent you to my channel, that if you like this style of painting as well. And then I use my stylus to go in and add some polka dots, just dipping in the paint every single time just to get a consistent dot on my letters. And then I will add some black paint splattering because I love to paint splatter my projects. I really feel that it just really adds the look that I am going for. And I just use a stiff brush and a stick, pull the stick across the bristles of the paintbrush, and then that projects onto my project. And also what I did to give it a little more whiskers, I just took my black Sharpie marker and just drew on some whiskers, made a cute little messy bow, added that to the top. For the hanger, what I used is just some pink wire that I had on hand in my stash. Now I gave my door hanger a coat of varnish. I like to use this varnish. I get it from the craft store, or I have it in my Amazon shop. And I love the way that this cute whimsical bunny door hanger This next project is definitely a favorite here on my channel, and it's using one of those truck forms from the Dollar Tree. Now, I've had several of these that I've had for many years. I do have a pattern that I will link in the description box below if you want to cut it out of foam board or wood or something like cardboard or something like that, if you want to make this, because I think that the Dollar Tree has changed up their styles of trucks that they offer, but this is just to inspire you to share ideas of what you can do. Just use supplies that you already have. All right, so I painted the tires black, and then I took some pink paint. I think that was cactus pink. And I just went around the edges because I'm going to be Mod Podging some scrapbook paper onto the truck, and just cut it out using the heat transfer method, the Mod Podge heat transfer method. By now, most crafters are familiar with the Mod Podge heat transfer method, but if you're not, I'll just briefly explain. You put a layer of Mod Podge on the bottom surface, let that dry, and then using an iron, I use a Cricut mini press, like a little heat press, and then that paper that you saw, I use that is parchment paper. I use that as a buffer to just provide a buffer for in between my project and the paper. And so then the heat of the iron heats up that paper, and then it attaches to the surface. So then what I'm using now is just some gray paint, and I'm just going to paint back glass as well as do some shading around my projects. I really feel that this painting really just brings out the projects, and I have tons and tons of videos here on my channel that does share different painting tips. I usually use a flat paintbrush and dip half of my brush in paint, the other half in clean water, and then I blend there on a paper towel. The blending just gives it that faded effect, and so I really like that. And so then I'll just go ahead and continue to add just the details. You will hear me say many, many times, the beauty is in the details. And so then here what I'm using is my fan brush and some white paint, just making the treads of the tires. I'll continue to add some of the details inside, like the back glass, as well as on the bumper. I'll use my black Sharpie marker to add the doodles. I love doodles. I love dots. I love all kind of things. As I say, the beauty is in the details. So I'm using some shimmering silver paint, and I just take a brush and go and add a little bit of shimmer to the glass so that it kind of adds a glare. Then what I'm gonna do is work on this sign, which is kind of like the tailgate of this truck. And so I'm going to be making it dimensional, adding some styrofoam so that I can add some embellishments in there, like some greenery, some flowers, and some painted Easter eggs. For my tailgate, what I'm going to use is one of these wood slats that you can get in a pack wherever they're sold, and also some baby pink Americana colored paint. I'm also using 4 tumbling tower blocks just to give it some height, and I painted my wood, all of the wood, with 2 coats of the baby pink, and then I'm going to go in with white acrylic paint just to give it the background so that I can do my lettering. I will add a border around it with some of that white paint. I will also, on the sign, I will just add some stripes with some of that slate gray paint just to give it some, character and definition and cuteness of what I like to do for my projects. Then I'm going to hand letter it using a black paint pen. This is a Posca pen. It's the largest one, and I get that from Amazon. That's where I find them. They're in my Amazon store. And then I shade everything either with the white or the slate gray paint. And for my lettering, I do like to put happy dots on my lettering, and I have found a free font from defont.com. I will link to that as well if anyone is interested in downloading that font and practicing and that kind of thing. And I appreciate you loving my happy dots as much as I do. Now I'm going to add some black paint splatters, and I do that just using a stiff brush and a stick, and I just pull the stick across the bristles one time toward my body so that the paint projects onto my project. And then I went back and added just some highlights, just using some of the white paint, just to, you know, give it just a little bit of highlight. Now, when I use the Posca pens, they do tend to smear, so this is the sealer that I like to use for sealing those signs. Now, I'm going to add some of these small wooden eggs. I painted up 5 of those in just this pink, white, and that slate gray color. And then these are the paints that I'm using just to decorate. I was just kind of going with a little color scheme here, and so I just did like zigzags and dots and stripes and just all kind of cute stuff just to make them look cuter. And then those are what I'm going to stick into my tailgate. So what I'm doing to prepare my tailgate is I just have some floral foam that I just cut down, and then I glue those jingle blocks just to give it, you know, some height, and then that's what I'm going to glue onto the back of the truck. And then the styrofoam, that is what I stick into, you know, my flowers and my eggs are going to stick into. I also added some fine Excelsior, which I like to do. These are the florals that I'm using. They either came from Hobby Lobby, Walmart, or Dollar Tree. And so there you can see I have the fine Excelsior stuck in there. It gives a whimsical look. And so then I just kind of went through here, and just as I added the flowers, I just kind of showed you as I built them rather. And you know, I just really love these little teal turquoise mini roses that I picked up from Hobby Lobby, and then everything just is just tying so well together. I'm just so happy with it. Now for the eggs, what I did is I have these skinny wooden sticks, and so instead of painting them, I'm just using some washi tape and some gray and then some pink. I just wrap some washi tape around them just to give it a little character, and then I cut them down a bit so that they wouldn't, you know, like they would fit the height that I wanted in my truck. And so then you know, it just ties everything together, and I just love this sweet little spring happy Easter truck. For the tail lights, what I'm using are 2 20M split balls that I get from Amazon. And so I'm trying a new method or how to paint my split balls. I saw my friend Alyssa from Southern Crafts Corner do this. I thought it was genius. And so I just put a dot of hot glue on there, and then I'm just painting around them. It worked beautifully. Thank you, Alyssa, for showing how you do and paint your split beads. Anyway, I love the way that this truck turned out. Now, guys, I have a dilemma, and I've asked for y'all's help. There at the bottom where the tire was, I need something cute to say there. So give me your suggestions in the comments. Let me know what you would put there. And yeah, because I want something cute. I've got some suggestions already, but I wanted to ask my community to give me some more of what you would put there. Anyways, I love the way that this turned out, and I hope that you do too. Now, the sign is using one of these boards from the Dollar Tree. This happens to be an Easter sign, but the Dollar Tree does have these, you know, for different seasons. So I just removed the feet and also whatever else was on the sign. And then I'm going to paint on the back side. And what I did is I cut off about 8 inches of this board, because that 8 inches is going to be the bunny face, and then the other part is going to be the sign. I just used some hole filler, some spackle that I got from the Dollar Tree to fill those holes that were at the top of the sign where the jute string was. And then I gave each board 2 coats of plaster color chalk paint. Plaster it's not a true white, and it's not an ivory either. And I like that color anyway. So once those are completely dry, I'm using this yellow. It's just acrylic paint, and it's a primary yellow. And I'm just taking my stencil brush and just going around the edges I'm not being very precise, very even. I'm just kind of almost stippling it on and just kind of going around just to give it a yellow color. For my bunny face, I tend to kind of stick with the same designs for my projects. And like I've said before, I like the more rectangle cheeks. And I use a stippling brush, a stencil brush, to kind of achieve the look that I like up and down. I know there are a lot of people that like round cheeks, so that's the beauty in painting. We can make it anything we want. And I use a coral color paint for my cheeks. Now for my eyes, I kind of been doing eyes for many years, and I like the more almond shape, where like at the top they kind of kind of meet up at the top. And so what I usually do is I draw them out with a black marker, and then I go back over it with my black paint. That seems to work the best for me. I have a very thin, very loved thin liner paintbrush that I use to make my eyelashes and as well as my eyebrows. And so then now I'm just taking a pencil and just drawing out a nose, and then I just take some pink paint and I just with the brush just paint in my nose, and I give that 2 coats of pink paint. The key to making the whites of the eyes as well as small lines is to use a very thin liner brush. Now this brush has been with me for many years, and it's my favorite brush to do designs like this. And so liner brushes can be purchased anywhere. It's just to use the thinnest liner brush that you can get. Okay, so then now I'm just going to shade my bunny. And so I'm just using gray. Slate gray is the name of this acrylic paint. And so I'm just using my 1/2 inch flat paintbrush, and I dip half of my brush in paint, the other half in clean water, and then I blend on a paper towel. Then I go around whatever I want to shade, and that gives me the look that I would like. And so then next I am just taking a 1/4 of an inch flat paintbrush because it's a little bit smaller space, and I'm just shading black around the nose. In my Amazon store is my favorite paintbrushes. If you want to see exactly which paintbrushes I use, they're my favorite. Okay, so then now I'm just taking an ultrafine Sharpie marker and just drawing out the mouth for my cute little bunny. Just to add a little highlight to my nose, I just took some white paint and just gave it a little swoosh. Okay, so now I'm going to work on my sign, and I have my bunny positioned, and I want to, leave enough space for my letters. I'm using that same color of gray, which was slate gray, and I'm just taking a liner brush and just giving it some lines on the background just to give it a, decoration, kind of break up the background a little bit. And then I'm going to hand letter my Happy Easter on the sign. Now, I have been painting for many years. It is some God-given talent, and I do appreciate so many kind comments on, you like my lettering style, and I owe all the glory to God because He is the one who has given me this talent as well as the patience to be able to hand letter like this. And so I am here to encourage encourage you as well as to inspire you that, you know, I was determined to learn how to write with a paintbrush, and so I kept practicing and never gave up. Now, I have found a font that is a free font. It's called Gel Dotica, and it is from dafont.com. It's, you know, a free download, and it is one of the best, I guess, letterings that I've found. I kind of consider my lettering style the Tinker Toy font. I found that font a long time ago. I think now you need to pay for it, but I did find this Gel Dotica font for a free download. And I shared that so that if you want to download the font, you know, and then use like some carbon paper or tracing paper, you can, you know, type out the letter on your computer, and then you can transfer it onto a sign and kind of follow the tracing of the Gel Dotica font, and that will give you this dotted look the way that I like to do for my signs and my letters. For my projects, I always do the extra, and that is just, you know, something that is in me. I just love to do extras just like this with putting little highlights on the end of my dots. It's just something that I like to do, and I do appreciate so many comments and so many friends saying that they love that I do the extras, because I really feel that when you do the little extras, it does show through your project. Okay, so another thing I like to do is shade around my letters, just to, you know, bring them out a little bit. It kind of adds a little bit more definition, a little bit more depth, and also it just really adds character to your project. And I just use that. I'm using a 1/4 inch flat paintbrush and just doing the same thing, dipping half of it in paint, the other half in clean water, blending on a paper towel, and then I'll go around each letter just to give it a little bit of shadow, shading, and a little bit of highlight. So I take it a step further and go around my letters with my ultrafine Sharpie marker, just to give it some squiggles and some, you know, just some little extra. It's just something that I like to do, and it's kind of my signature. It is kind of what makes my projects pop a little, and I just go around the letters just like that, and just give it, you know, just a little bit more definition and highlight. And then I'll take my fine Sharpie marker and I go around the entire project just to give it some doodling. I love to doodle. I love happy dots. I love all of the paint splatters. I'm going to be doing that next. And to paint splatter, I do get some, you know, comments, and I'll get some private messages to ask about my paint splattering. Now, I have found over the years, just by trial and error, is to make sure that the paint is of an ink consistency. You know, you don't want it to be too thick, because you'll have it won't splatter quite as well, and too thin, you're going to have a watered down look. So I just get it to be an ink consistency, and I get the best result by using a stiff stencil brush. Of course, a toothbrush will work as well, and I use a stick to glide across my my stiff brush, and so I pull the stick toward my body, where then the paint will, you know, go off on the project, and I make sure that my table, or where I am splattering, is covered, because paint does go everywhere. But I usually do black first, and then I go over it with white, just to give it the look that I like. A bunny would not be complete without some cute whiskers, and I use wire that I get from the Dollar Tree. It is in the automotive section. I get asked, this is probably one of my most asked comments are questions. It is in the automotive section. It's very pliable and I love to work with it. It's not stiff. And so anyway, I cut 6 pieces. So I'm going to use 3 on each side. And I just took a paintbrush and just wrap them so that they're curly. Then I'm going to drill just a very small hole on each side of the nose. And I take those 3 wires and I kind of twist them all together. I use my needle nose pliers if I need them, just to twist them, make sure that they're all together. And then I just thread it through that hole and I put a little bead of hot glue in the hole, and then I just thread my wire through there and then just kind of bend it on the back. And the headband that I'm going to be using next for the ears is going to kind of give it some height, and so everything stays nice and snug. We have to make a cute small bow for the top of my bunny. So I'm just sharing with you here my trims. I pulled out different trims. I get them at, different stores, Walmart, the craft stores, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's, anywhere I can find small trims like this, at the Dollar Tree. That is where I got that polka dot burlap. And so I originally cut my ribbons that polka dot at 6 inches, and then by the time I dovetailed it, it was like down to 5 inches. And so that just kind of gives you an idea of what the size is for these trims. And then I just, layer them all together. I kind of crisscross them, make a funky bow, refab bow, junk bow, whatever, you choose to call it. And so then I use a pipe cleaner just to get things really tight so that my ribbons pop. Okay, so I have these headbands that I got at Hobby Lobby, and the 2 that I picked up were this blue as well as a pink. I couldn't decide which one I was going to use, but I decided to use the blue. So what I'm showing you here is the ears are a little too wide for me for this size of this bunny. So I cut the headband in half. I just cut it with my scissors, and then I just layer it on top of each other to make my ears a little bit more closer for this bunny, because they were too wide for me. And so I just hot glue all of that together, and then I just hot glue that to the to my sign. Now, originally, when I first made this project, I had attached it. I made the sign for a wreath. Y'all know that I love to design wreaths. I do sell them locally in my hometown. That is the only place that you can get them right now. And so since I was doing this video, I had to attach, when I did the wreath, I kind of like wired it on to be part of the wreath. But since I was making this sign, I had to glue the actual headband to the sign, and then position my bunny face on there and hot glue that as well, and everything worked out great. So I have this sign ready to go for another wreath. So then lastly, here I am just attaching my small bow with some hot glue, and I do use Gorilla Glue sticks and have the best results with that, because that does stand up to the Texas heat. Okay, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this project as much as I did. Like I said, I have made a couple of wreaths with this sign, and probably going to be making some more. Like I said, I do sell them locally at a local store in my hometown. And thank you so
little
much.
painted bunny block using one of the blocks from the Dollar Tree. Now, this particular one had Happy Easter on it anyway, but I wanted to make it a little bit cuter. I'm also using a headband that had some cute gingham plaid ears on it. That is from the 99-cent store. I'm using some white chalk paint as well as some wire for the whiskers and a cute little wooden heart for the nose. Now, for the bow, the ribbons, I will share that once I get to that point in the video because I wasn't sure what I was going to use. So what I'm doing here is what I did is I took off the paper the best that I could off of that block, and a sweet viewer left me a tip of how to get that paper off of these blocks by spritzing it with water. I did that and it worked great. So I just took all of that paper off of the block and gave it 2 coats of white chalk paint. Then now I am just doing some shading of gray. I think it's an apple barrel dolphin gray is what I'm using. And I use a flat paintbrush. I dip half of my brush in paint, the other half in clean water. I blend on a paper towel and then I go around the edges to give some shading. Then I'm using this pink for the cheeks. It's Americana bubblegum pink, and just stippling that on the block to give some cheeks. And then I just I like my cheeks to go up and down, but everyone has their own little personal preference of how they like their cheeks. So, sometimes in crafting, we look at something and we're like, something is just not right about that. And so we, do a little research and we're like, oh my goodness, I had put the bunny nose upside down. So thankfully I was able to pull it off and then re-glue it. So no problem. And my bunny nose is correct.